All right. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
hey,
for you.
We're live. We're live, boys and girls. Where the hell? Why does YouTube do that? Or why does Google do that? They increase the size on every window. Anyway. Oh, okay. Okay, boys and girls, we're live. So now I went on a stream last night and salespeople were talking about how they are being attacked everywhere by the atheists. And I think it was Emery Moyna who was saying that we on this channel called Cell a pedophile. And I thought, what the fuck? And then I remember the other day I was confused by this email. I was on Emery Moyna's channel, and I hope we're live. I was on Emery Moyna's channel, and I asked him, can you provide links for the papers you reference? Okay. And I kind of expect it's going to be the same thing as when I asked John Maddox, right? And I thought he was going to like come back at me, but no. He comes back with, given your behavior and the fact that you recently allowed a member of your stream to imply that Saul Cordova is not fit to be trusted with children, I have zero interest in interacting with you under any circumstance. Well, we did imply that Saul was not to be trusted with children because he's a young earth creationist and he's trying to teach them pseudoscience. And that's what we were talking about. So then last night I hear this shit, and they actually said, I think they actually said the P word out loud, which I don't really care for even on this channel. And, you know, everybody's been warned not to fucking do that on this channel, even with guys like that. Oh, that one guy recently that got caught, you know, and he ended up in a lot of trouble with some sort of criminal charge. And he decided to go off YouTube for a while. I can't remember his name.
Whose name shall not be mentioned.
Yeah. Well, my policy there was no. There's no fucking proof. We're not gonna make those kind of charges against anyone, no matter how stinky they are. And in fact, even if that stinky person had previously made that exact same charge against us, fraudulently,
which he had many times.
Yeah.
But I just want to point something out, and Speed may or may not agree with this. Like, the only acceptable time to mention pedophiles is when you're talking about Catholic priests.
Yes, exactly. So if you're not Catholic, you know, we're not coming after you. Okay, so I said my interest in you guys is more like an interest in specimens behaving badly. So no worries. I don't want to fucking interact with you is what I was saying. On Saul with Children, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but it horrifies me that either of you would be left around children to teach them the kind of science you are promoting. So again, we're talking about education. We're not talking about anything else. It was Emery that took it in that direction, and he did it last night on Sal's stream. So I went into Sal's room twice, and Sal blocked me in chat. I had been blocked previously. He said, "I'm not letting him in here. I'm not letting him in here." So he wouldn't let me in it to even.
So, and he wouldn't even let you in, and yet you're not the one that supposedly said what was said. Right. You know, and it's important to note too, the word pedophile was never used.
No,
okay.
and we're going to play the clip.
Yeah.
Just to straighten it out. Let's see here. You see this right here? You do realize I was talking about Sal educating children, and it was Emery's mind that dug up the crap, right? And that's the way Christians are. I mean, Jesus Christ, their minds go to the lowest fucking level in the gutter, you know? You need to correct this if you are making more of it. I know John's comment was a little close to the edge, but he was being John. I will beat my guests about this and remove anything you find was implying that it was anything more than that. So, I mean, I did, say I would do that. But then when I listened to what you said, it's like, nobody, for one thing, nobody would have even noticed that comment if Emery hadn't talked about it.
All right.
I'm
not saying implying anything by this, but that's where Emery's mind went.
Yeah. But then, okay. And then I tried to get back on topic with him and said, my charge that you guys are intellectually dishonest, you could quickly put me in my place by providing links to the relevant papers in your description. Or at least this would be a good start in a good orderly direction. I am trying to help you here, young man. And he never gave me the links. So that was the end of that. So because he's another John Maddox, he's going to spout bullshit, and he talked about some papers, and he's not going to link them because he's another intellectually dishonest liar for Jesus.
Yeah, let's
there he is.
it's funny how many of these young Earth creationists, the evolution deniers, that they mention all these papers. And, we've had one famously in the room a few times, and he mentioned the paper, and we brought the paper up and showed that he had not read it and was getting the information in the paper wrong. Yeah, and if you're going to make an argument and you're going to cite papers, like I was telling Otangelo here the other day, we were talking again about we're going to have a debate, the two different debates we agreed to have when me and Knock get our new channel going. And I think it was in this room. And I said, well, that like normal debates, like real debating is done in writing, And I said, when I get my opening, I mean, you don't have to reciprocate, but when I get my opening statement, done, I'm going to send you a copy of it, because I don't want any excuses. And I don't even remember why I went on this line, but
anyway, here's some more of Emery's stuff. Okay. The rise of the woke religion. He's basically blasting ministers and priests that go along with any social justice at all, or basically take a more liberal view of what's going on in this world right now. Right. He's got one called pedophilia in schools. I don't know what the fuck that means, and then his social justice, how social justice impacts the church. And somewhere down here, I don't know if he took it down or not, but he has a thing on George Floyd. Yeah, Minneapolis George Floyd. Everybody ought to give that a listen, because he claims that it was not about racism.
Maybe we can do it today. His videos are very short.
Yeah, they're pretty short. Wait, how much is this one?
I mean, what a horrible fucking concept, huh?
Yeah, and he said that, and he tried to make the point that George Floyd didn't die from the knee on his neck.
Well, no, what I'm saying, I was stepping back even further than that. What a horrible fucking concept! I can see why they're all triggered. I mean, how dare people talk about social justice?
Yeah, it's just terrible thing.
God damn.
Yeah. Hey guys, what's up?
Hey David, I don't know if some shit went down on Cell's channel last night and pissed me off.
I think you said you were going to play that clip. So
yeah, I saw some of the dumpster fire that it was, but I had a debate with Neffy last night, and yeah. I think that was like a 4+ hour stream with Sal Cordova. Yeah.
5. I think it was 5 hours. And they didn't talk about your debate too much. They pretty much talked about I don't know what the hell that one was. Anyway, we got something we got to play here. This is the part that John Ashley said that they were so freaked out about, and I just want to make sure we get it.
Did they play the clip when they were bitching about it?
No, they didn't.
Oh, of course not. Of course not, because then they can go on and on about how we were, saying he was a pedophile, but they don't play the actual clip and let people hear that was never said.
Right.
They don't know how to answer the questions that they're being challenged with.
Right. I mean, they feel, even if you have people that are qualified in doing it professionally, even in my church, I'm not invited.
Okay, Sal is qualified teacher doing it professionally. How is he a qualified teacher to teach children? I don't get that. Anyway.
They'll say, oh, that's really great work you're doing. But you're never getting invited to Sunday school to teach it, even when you've offered. And then I hear parents coming back, oh, my kid doesn't know what to do when what he heard in public school. And they went off to college and now they're atheists. I'm just like, okay.
So that's the way their minds work. They think if you don't shove young Earth creationism up the children's butts, that they become atheists as soon as they go to college. It never occurred to them that when they go to college, they hear about real science and they get away from their parents and they start thinking for themselves. But anyway, so Sal did say that he was not invited to churches. So that is the context of our comments that follow.
What did the church do, to help them with that? Nothing.
Can foreskin. Yeah. So I don't, Sal, I'm sorry if you hear this, but maybe there's some different reasoning behind why they don't want you to teach kids. I don't know. Just saying.
The thing is, what he's saying here is that if you teach kids science, okay. So anyway, now that could be taken a couple of different ways, and they chose it to take it the way they chose it. I don't think anybody else noticed that comment. I don't know. What do you think? Should I, clip it out and re-upload it?
Fuck no, I wouldn't clip it out. I mean, because like I told you,
Say I'd do it.
There's no process, like when I make like a quick comment about something. It's not like I sat there, I'm going to call that guy a pedophile. I made a obtuse comment that, like we were talking about backstage, that could be inferred in a number of different ways. And I didn't even go into that process of thinking when I made the comment. Something was said that clicked in my head, when you're reacting in the moment and just trying to, make a witty comment, you don't go through like any kind of diabolical fucking plan of, you just say it. And sometimes you get yourself into trouble, but I didn't get myself into trouble there. There's no, you can imply whatever you want from it, but if that's where they're going to go with it, that's on them, not me.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's your channel, it's your videos. If you feel like you want to clip that out, I think you should if it make you feel better. But I say fuck no.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing just I was really taken aback because there's no way that I would condone this channel doing that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and we get a little edgy and we poke fun at them and stuff like that, but we don't ever want to imply shit like that. And like I said, with that Stinky guy. I wouldn't even allow it because there was no fucking proof. And, it's just it's just a shit show that we don't need here. So we don't want to do that stuff. And,
did we scare David off?
Well, yeah, we did scare David off because, David has to keep a relationship with those guys because he likes to debate them. And, this kind of stuff really screws that up. But it's the Christians that are fucking bringing the war, and trying to make this shit. Like last night on this stream, the cell stream. I don't know where I don't know. Maybe we'll run into it if we review this, but I think we should review quite a bit of this video actually. There's some John.
What's his name?
Cell Cordova.
Oh, okay. We can't take a look at that George Floyd video.
Oh, we can. Yeah. Yeah. You want to see? Well,
go ahead.
This kind of tells you what you're dealing with too. But they were going on about the equality bill, which we can back it up to that, I think, at 145. But I thought this was just an amazing moment right here. So I'm going to play this a little bit. Now, they were going on about political stuff and church and state, which we'll listen to, which gives you an idea who these people really are and what they really want for this country. And then they started thinking, because Cell was off taking care of his mom, and they said, oh my God, we're going to get Cell's channel taken down. And then one of them's, I think it was Godzilla, said, oh no, the stream is so long, nobody will be listening. So I thought this was cute.
Oh, yeah. That'd be bad. Well, the stream's like long enough to where the trust and safety team will
No. Speed of Sound watches the whole thing.
Isn't that precious? That was Emery.
What was he saying? Speed and safety people.
No, he was saying that, speed and that they're safe because the stream was so long.
Oh.
Yeah, because they were talking about shit here at 145. Let's see what they were talking about.
The whole social justice garbage is beneficial to the church because it's purifying. It's revealing the sheep from the goats.
Yeah, in a sense, you're absolutely correct. There are a lot of guys that who were supposed to be conservative Southern Baptist preachers who are now being separated out for who they are. So it's unfortunate, but it has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like watching people face plant themselves in an attempt to accommodate social justice into the gospel, but it needed to be done. We've tolerated impurity in the church for far too long, and not just like in this form, in other forms as well, other forms of doctrinal stuff that we
There,
just allowed to,
Forskin.
and I won't get into that because that's not the purpose of the channel. But
Okay, the only thing that would have made that line, we've tolerated impurity in the church for long enough, is if he had said that in a 1930s German accent. Okay. I mean, and then the idea that before that he had said, fuck, I can't remember now. Yeah, the sheep's from the goats. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like,
Yeah, what they're okay in the Baptist church, they're having a thing right now where some of the ministers are saying, "Look, the world's changing. We need to incorporate. We need to have a little justice for some of these for homosexuals, for transgender people, for people that have been shit on for so long." And he calls them the goats, I think, and he's happy that they're being called out now. And they're being tested, and we're getting rid of we're purifying the church, is what he's saying. We're sifting out all the liberals, and we're left with these conservatives that are going to condemn everybody, and that's what he's saying. And
yeah, if I wouldn't have been surprised in the least if he had said, "Yes, we need to address the impurity in the church we've been putting up with, and I have come up with a final solution."
Okay, you know what, John? That was good.
That was
And
good.
so the other thing too is couldn't Jesus? I mean, and I'm saying their idea of what Jesus says. I believe that if all this crap was true, that Jesus is God and did all the horrible things God did. So, but they talk about Jesus as this loving, yada yada. And so wouldn't he, according to the way they describe Jesus and some of the things that it talks about him doing in the New Testament, couldn't you call him an SJW?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Hell yeah. But they would have purified him the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've tolerated this kind of garbage and gargonzola for a long time. There needed to be a purifying fire, and looks like this is going to be it.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
I mean, I'm trying to make the best of a very bad situation here.
Purifying fire.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look back at what the Apostle Paul had to go through, and we got no problems.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
So
we aren't there yet. We're getting there, but we're not there yet.
we are getting very close. When Maher came out the other night and said that Christians are the problem, I said, "Oh my God, here we go." And every once in a while, Bill Maher gets it right, but that was not one of the times. That's for sure. So,
I mean, we have.
All right,
I don't know how well you're abreast of that.
Since they paused there, guess what? Okay, if you take that as a sweeping generalization or a hasty generalization, because when you say Christians are a problem, it can be inferred either way, that you're talking about some Christians, or if you just say Christians alone like that, it can be inferred that you're talking all of Christendom. But empirically, it's a fact, not all of them, but Christians are a problem. Okay. Yeah. They are a big problem when it comes to education. They're a big problem when it comes to, dealing with sexual issues amongst, young people, as far as,
control.
They don't want kids to be given condoms or taught sex education and stuff like that, and a whole host of other things that Christians are a problem.
Yeah, they are. But let's see what their solution is.
I imagine, Sandy, you probably at least know about this. I don't know how much Godzilla you keep track of what goes on, but I mean, we have a pastor in Canada who's in jail because he's preaching.
What is he talking about? Godzilla or Gorgonzilla?
There's a dude there named Godzilla.
Oh, and what's the deal with that?
I mean, I don't know. It's got the word God in it, I guess.
Oh, okay. So, that Godzilla. Okay, so hang on a second. I missed something.
Yeah, coach.
Literally, that is the condition of his bail. You can get out if you promise to stop preaching.
Yeah, and he's staying in.
And he's staying in. He won't sign off on it.
Good.
And and I asked myself the question: how long is it before that shows up in California, Hawaii, New York? How long before we start seeing that? It can't be too long. And I mean, the Equality Act passed the House yesterday.
Oh, boy.
We don't have that much time.
Yeah, it's MacArthur was talking about that the other night on the Bible.
Wait, what
Week.
equality
What's
act?
that guy's called?
Some act that basically prevents you from discriminating against people based on their sexual orientation or gender preference. They have a problem with that.
Wasn't that a thing for years? Did I miss something?
Yeah, I thought that had already been done, but I think they're toughening it up a little bit.
Well, I mean, because okay, so race, creed, color, all that, but the framers, weren't thinking about people identifying, by different genders and stuff like that back then. And I had one of my family members engage me in conversation yesterday, and they essentially were just like, I respect everybody. I have friends from all walks of life, whether you're talking about different ethnicities, different people on the LGBTQ spectrum. But I'll be damned if I'm going to call them they.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll call you by your name, or I'll call you by, what gender you look like. And I'm like, well, some people look like a certain sex, but they identify as as the other sex or somewhere in between. There's like this and this and the other. And I was telling her about a conversation that you and I had backstage, Speed, about something that had happened recently. And we had decided, well, we're not going to talk about that live because it would offend some different people. And my sister, and I told my sister about it, and she says, well, why do you have to, edit yourself? Why can't you just say what you think? And I said, because you have to have deference for the people that are going to hear it,
Right.
And you have to have, enough intelligence to know that, talking about certain subjects, if you're not clear on your words, it could get you in trouble. Okay. Yeah. And she took that as, oh, so you got to walk on pins and needles,
free speech.
Yeah. And, and I'm like, well, no, but it's, if you're having an endeavor going out on media, which is, even if it's only social media, you have to think about what you're going to say. Now that sounds funny coming from me with all the dumbass shit I say, but that's a fact, though. I mean, there's certain subjects you got to be careful about what you say, because you could touch on a certain subject and trip over your words or something and just say the wrong thing. And in this day of social media, next thing you know, you're around the world as whatever they want to call you, basically.
Yeah, clips can replicate faster than bacteria,
Yeah.
So it goes viral. Yeah, and it's no skin off my ass to steer clear of certain subjects that might offend people, or to use language that won't offend people, or to try to edit myself a little bit, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's no skin off my ass to do a little editing.
Well, right. I mean, and the thing is like, that was what I couldn't understand too. Is like, okay, so I've been a grade A asshole most of my life, still hang on to a lot of that, but like,
here.
What's that?
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is if somebody or somebody that you're interacting with, even if it's just online, if they say to you, you say he or something like that, and they say, oh, you know what, I prefer this. What sweat off your nose is it? Like my sister got on the whole thing of they is plural. And I'm like, no, for centuries, they has been used as the singular too. It's always had a singular usage. Oh no, that's something new. I'm like, no, look it up on Google. That's been around for centuries. Because here's the
Yeah.
thing: say you're talking about a subject, about a person, and something they did, but you don't have the knowledge of whether they're a man or a woman. Then when you when you go to write something out, you don't say he or she. You say they and them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's been around for as long as the language has been around.
Yeah. It just takes a little getting used to kind of move it around, from what we're used to. And it's, I was actually, I'm a recovering Rush Limbaugh listener from 20 years ago, and a recovering Republican. And I had all these ideas that, I'm not going to edit the way I talk just for somebody. And then it occurred to me, and I think the big one for me was when they were pulling down Confederate statues, and I was like, that's art, and we shouldn't pull that down and all that stuff. And then I thought, when was the last fucking time I ever went and looked at a statue or give a shit about a statue? It's no skin off my ass if they want to take them down. And and that whole idea of it is no skin off my butt to be a little bit accommodating hit me. And it applies to about 50 different subjects. It's like, why do we care? It's like,
well, and it's just so, okay, so going back even farther in the Civil War, okay, you talk about our founding fathers. They came up with this beautiful form of government. They came over and they initiated this great country, that has turned into what it is now, like for good or bad, you can decide for yourself. But then there was another side to them. They were shitbags that own human beings. Okay. Now they did not, there were some of them that did want to address slavery right from the get-go when they wrote the Constitution, but then they decided that it might not get off the ground if they tried to address that right then. But that shit went on for, 75 years before, it finally came to a head in the 1860s. But, you talk about not being any sweat off your nose. And once again, I got down a fucking alley, and I don't remember why I turned that corner.
Okay. Sometimes we end up down those alleys, John. So Iron Church here, I need 14 pounds of heavily salted bacon if you go into the store. So he's offering to pick people's shit up, I think.
Did you say 70 pounds?
17.
What do you need 17 pounds of bacon for?
BLTs. I like a lot of bacon on my BLT. I make about 4 or 5 BLTs with 17 pounds of bacon. Well, that shit, it fries up. I mean, give me a break.
I had the bacon cheeseburger from a local pub here today, and it was just massive, and there was just copious amounts of fucking bacon on it. It was fire.
Still don't get honoring the Confederates, traitors and slavers. Fuck them.
Oh, yeah. So that's where I was going with that, is that, okay, so yeah, you can say the statue thing. Okay, well, the same argument can be made about some of our forefathers. Okay, like, okay, if you went to Germany right now, guess what? No statues of Hitler. I mean, so here you had, people from the Confederate side. Yeah, maybe they were great men in their community. Maybe they, did war really well. Okay. But they were fighting to own human beings. Okay. So if like the types of human beings that they were fighting to be able to own are offended by, you got a statue of a slave owner up at a public park. Okay, well, that's fine. Take it down. Like they broke some of them. I think some of them are going to end up in museums. That's fine. It's history. Put it in a museum or something like that. But then, you're going to put it in a public park in the middle of town or something, and then people have to drive by and see that every day. Sorry. No. Sorry. But there's people that thought, well, they were great men, and we should take pride in them. Well, maybe there's some things they did in their life that you could honor them for, but that ain't one of them. Okay. Like, just like the forefathers. I mean,
yep. So I don't know which way we want to go. Also, Danny enters the stream later, and he was whining to them about speed of sound. He just doesn't understand me.
Okay, is this I gotta ask you something? Is this the John and Speed show? Because Top Dog and I are in here, and it's like we haven't even got a chance.
Say something.
I mean,
Say something.
say it with your fucking chest, Midnight. Like, what do you?
Well, hold on, no, hold on. Well, see, John, I love you and all, but there are times where you you take over the conversation. Someone else trying to talk, like, wait a minute, I want to say something.
Wait a minute.
Leo.
Usually
Jack.
what happens is I get triggered when I start talking, and then somebody like Danny talk. And speaking of Danny, real quick,
Yeah.
I was talking to Knock earlier today. We were talking on the phone.
You figure
And
him
he
out.
thought Danny was a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck he is.
And I said, well, yeah, we think he's. I mean, he tells us he's an atheist or he's a non-believer, but we're not sure because he goes on Christian channels and motherfucks us, like motherfucks atheists. So,
Yeah. Well, somewhere coming up, Danny's talking about starting an entire playlist about how Speed of Sound is a fraud, and that's why I did the you got Danny Weenie problems icon today or whatever. Because I got Danny Weenie problems, and the thing about it is I've been trying to get Danny to have a one-on-one with me about a couple of those conversations so we can hash out a few things in philosophy. And I've been trying this for 2 weeks now. And last night on Jay's stream, he said, "Oh yeah, I sent you an email about his schedule today because I happen to know that he's off today." And he was up all fucking night on stream, so I thought you must have time to talk to me. And so he sends this thing that says, "Oh, I'll stop in during the weather report." Well, during the weather report, we're not going to get a one-on-one, Danny. So I don't know what the hell game you're playing. Are you afraid to talk to me one-on-one? I don't. I'm beginning to wonder. So,
and just so you know, Midnight, before you said that, probably 2 minutes before that, I was thinking to myself, when the fuck are Midnight or Top Dog going to say something? Like,
yeah, what the fuck?
It's like it's like you reached out beyond time and space. I'm also busy having a discussion in the background. So,
what am I paying you two for Christ's sake?
Well, I mean, I wish you were paying me.
A prankster installed a big naked male oh no!
What the fuck?
Canada a few years ago. Oh really? I gotta see this. Oh my goodness!
Wait a minute! Big naked male Satan statue. Damn.
Yep, he did. He ain't that.
Was the statue in full tumescence?
I don't know. They don't show that part. Anyway, maybe. So I don't know. What are we going to do here? Should we go look at Danny or should we listen to these guys talk about
we should go watch the
separation
I want to George Floyd from that other dude, Emery dude.
That's not as dense as this is, I don't think. Let's just listen for a few minutes here and try to focus.
Bible thumping wingnut.
Yeah, Bible thumping wingnut, and that MacArthur basically looked out at the audience and said, "Bring it! I'm ready for jail." You know, I was like, "Okay, Roger that," and God bless him. So yeah, it's here. You know, it's here.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I remember over the summer when we were all wondering, the next time MacArthur opens his church, are they going to arrest him?
Foreskin.
I mean, that was a legitimate question we had to ask.
Who's in here?
Danny.
Oh shit! Hello.
Danny. Okay, so I don't know.
I see how it is. You put me at the bottom. Wow.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't that fair, Midnight? You're a bottom, right?
No, John. No, I'm not. So moving on.
Okay. All right. Nothing more needs to be said.
You happy now? I'm on the bottom.
Well, you're a definite bottom, Speed.
Now you fucking happy? I'm not a bottom.
Over the summer. So if anybody out there who's watching this, I don't know how many viewers we still have left, but if anybody out here who's watching this thinks that persecution can't happen here, I don't know what to tell you other than get your head out of the sand.
Yeah.
And what's
Absolutely.
been slowly happening over the years has just like went into full spiral the past few.
I'm sorry.
It's basically hit critical mass at this point. It's
Foreskin.
spiraling
Sorry,
downhill.
foreskin.
A great
What the fuck? What? What's up?
Okay, so I'm just feeling so creeped out listening to Christians balk at the idea of equality.
Yeah.
And then he brings up persecution as if they're being persecuted
Yeah.
for being asked to consider equality for all.
Yes.
And,
exactly.
and here it is we're seeking equality for those who have actually been persecuted.
Yeah, and I guess I could just abbreviate it here. Later on, what they talk about is they say that, okay, this is a Christian country founded on Christian principles, and separation of the church and state means this. It means that the state cannot tell the church what to do. It does not mean that the church can't tell the state what to do.
What?
So what they want, okay, they want the state to persecute gay people, but they don't want to be persecuted by the state for their religion. But they want the state to persecute Muslims, but they don't want to be persecuted by the state for Christianity. So, I mean, they're whining about being fucking persecuted. Them, the fucking Christians in this country.
I mean, how do you persecute? What is it? Like it would be, but they get like 40% of the world's population.
I know if I fired a 30-06 out of my front door, I would be arrested for shooting up a church, not a house, because you can't fire a bullet without hitting a church in this goddamn city. I mean, everywhere I go, there's like the church 1 block over has a school in it, and the parking lot is half the size of a goddamn mall. You know, it's like,
Well, no. Oh, I matter of fact, I went forward in my estimation, not from a third. It's actually like 30% of the world's population. Not
yeah.
40.
So Danny starts playing the video here.
Oh, it was a really good video. I'm glad you're playing it now.
Yeah,
Aren't you Andrew?
but we're not going to play the video. We're just going to go to after the video.
Aren't you Andrew?
Okay, this is. I'll come back to Jellyfish. Danny wants to do his video, but
Oh, no.
It's very short, but
okay,
it's
I'll
Oh,
come back
it's
to
Danny
So-
video. Here's after Danny video.
Aren't you?
Wow.
Where did midnight go?
Yeah, that was one way to call him
I don't know.
out for sure.
And this is why I
think-
refuse to direct with
now,
Steve.
now, if y'all can, I'm gonna link the video. Can you like it because his minions are disliking it? But
Are-
everyone should like the video.
Are you minions disliking his video?
Absolutely.
Minions are
Okay.
I think you made a little bit of a leap because you didn't get a clip of him explicitly stating the word right.
okay. This is cool though because Argatha actually tells Danny why he's wrong about what he said about the right and wrong.
Wait, no, he was mistaken though.
In that thing, he just claimed moral fact, and then you inferred that moral fact meant
No, he said
that
wait,
it was right or wrong.
we should do X, right? We should do X. That's a moral fact. But everyone now, it's even less controversial to say that right if it's right, you should do it. That's even less controversial.
Yeah,
He's
yeah. I'll back Danny up on that one. If you make a statement that says you ought to do X, then that you are saying X is the right thing to do in my particular opinion.
Right.
And to
So
say that I was changing
Question
the
is,
subject,
what
I
does
was-
he mean by right or wrong?
he doesn't
he-
know.
well, I would, the thing is
Probably
that
not.
he was saying,
I'm
look,
just saying.
to say that what he was doing to me was, I was saying, okay, if you're talking about morality, you're talking about right and wrong, and then his statement was that's a separate discussion. No, if you whether you're an atheist or not or whatever, any moral philosopher understands that right or wrong at least comes into the question to the question about what ethics or morality is. They at least relate it. Okay, to say that I'm changing the subject, that's a different discussion, right? Is dodging any objection that I might pose to him in terms of how right and wrong applies to morality. Because what he
Wait,
wants to
hold on. I don't think that you're wrong. I think that your summation of this idea is correct. I think that you need a better proof to solidify your argument. I think you're right, but I don't think that what you showed was necessarily enough.
Correct.
okay,
Foreskin.
I think that you need to show him say
Foreskin.
he's
what
just
he
wrong
thinks-
there.
Well, here the problem is that what your claim boils down to, Danny, is that you're basically claiming there can be no discussion had on ethics or morality without talking about right and wrong, good and bad.
That
And
is
that's
true.
that's just so wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong because there's other aspects of morality you can talk about without broaching the subject of right or wrong, good or
Right.
bad.
No, what I mean is that morality is a function of right or wrong, and thus so
And
conceptually
nobody ever
dependent on right
disagreed
and
with you
wrong.
on that. And nobody disagreed
Well,
with you.
then I
on
don't
that.
know what you mean by what you just said, by your objection to what I said.
Because Speed was trying to have a conversation of where morals come from a biological standpoint, from a evolutionary standpoint, and you wanted to make it an argument about the nuts and bolts and minutia of morality. Okay,
That's not true.
and that's why he said that. Wait a minute, and that's why he said to you early on in that exchange, that's a subject for another time. Okay, because when you're talking about where it comes from biological, like the example he gave about you have offspring and you just have this innate feeling to take care of them. Okay, that has nothing to do with good or bad or right or wrong. When a broader discussion of morality, you're correct. It would always, entail talking about good or bad, right and wrong. But that's what you just refuse to see. You have these blinders on, that these philosophical blinders on, that you have to frame every discussion as if it's got to go the way you want it to go.
Look, even I'll grant what you're saying, despite its historical inaccuracy. Let me grant what you're saying.
How is it
That Speed,
historic?
excuse me, sorry, I was talking. Sorry, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I let you speak. I'm sorry.
Speed, put him
Excuse me.
backstage. He made a big mistake. Okay, look, here's the thing.
Quit saying I'm sorry, Danny.
How could it be a historical inaccuracy when we're talking about what we were thinking at the time in our heads and the discussion we were trying to have? Okay.
Okay.
And then you're saying we were historically inaccurate. Wait, I'm being historically accurate about what my own intentions were. Speed's being historically inaccurate about what his own intentions were.
But John, you should have waited for Danny to finish, and then he wouldn't have gone into his sorry loop. So let's let Danny finish. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
What I meant by historical inaccuracy is just what
We know.
his aim was. Yes, what his intention was for the stream. I took his intention to be what morality is, not simply where it came from. Now, what I said, let's just grant that I'm wrong here, right? Let's just say that all Speed was interested is where does morality come from, causally speaking, okay? Let's just grant that. It heavily relates to the question of where right and wrong comes from. Because if you say that this moral fact comes from XYZ or has XYZ explanation, that implies that you're asking where right and wrong with respect to action comes from. Okay.
No, you're wrong.
Okay, you can respond. I won't interrupt you.
I mean, to be honest with you, to me, this isn't even a conversation worth having. I mean, because you're so wrong because you're basically telling us that our intentions better than we do. You use the word intentions. And so you're sitting there and saying that our minds better than we do and what the intention of that conversation was. No, what's going on here is that you didn't like that conversation because it didn't fit into your idea of what what morality and ethics discussions are. Okay. And again, I'll say it, Speed was trying to talk about something completely different than what you wanted to talk about. And that's the only thing that was wrong with this here, okay, is that if people don't have the conversation you want, then you do whatever you can to turn it to the conversation you want. You did the same thing, yesterday when you came in when we were reviewing the MDD debate. You jumped right in with your mouth rolling right from Jump Street, wanting to say something about, to white knight, Canadian Catholic, it's just whatever. I mean, I got to tell you, I just don't think I'm just not going to interact with you anymore, Danny.
Okay, that's fine. Now my turn.
Okay,
I
no. I haven't had a
said-
turn. I haven't had a turn.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Speed, I'll catch you later, man.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, so The conversation I was having was about moral grounding, and I ground morals in that discussion about where it came from, basically. And I told you when you came in and started talking about right and wrong, I said it has nothing to do with it. And later on, I clarified and I said that comes later. So from that moral grounding, you derive all of these subjects in ethics, which you call meta ethics, but I'm appealing to sort of a meta ethics. And you seem to completely want to take it in another direction. And then
Once
you said,
again-
"Oh, I don't understand you."
Once
or
again,
whatever.
I'll grant that was your intention for the
It
sake
was.
of argument. Okay. The
Oh,
problem
you'll
is that
grant it. I'm telling you, that was my
my
intention.
criticism still goes through. Okay. The point is that like so you want to say that you weren't wanting to talk about what the meaning of morality was in this kind of framework. Yeah, you wanted to talk about grounding. Now, grounding has a very specific meaning in philosophy. It usually refers to something called a normative explanation, which is to say, establishing truth conditions for what it means to say that X is moral or X is immoral.
And now
That
you're
is
doing,
not.
you're
Go
doing it
ahead.
again. You're doing it again. You're bringing folk psychology to a naturalism fight. And I was grounding it in biological naturalism, okay? And I was having a naturalism discussion where I can show you how this other stuff is derived, where you get this intentionality, where you get this, how right and wrong becomes a characteristic function that doesn't
Everything
really
I
work. All
just
of
said
that.
was compatible with naturalism for the time being.
Compatible, yeah, but you said, okay, typically grounding means something else having to do with, and again, I frequently forget what you said 2 minutes ago. So could you?
That's fine.
say-
Yeah, look here,
could
I'll
you say
repeat
that
what it is.
again?
Fine, no problem. Right? Here's what I'm trying to say. That I'll just give you the conclusion. The conclusion is that the notion of grounding, you're misusing it. Okay, and I was trying to explain that in philosophy and in ethics, grounding doesn't simply mean giving an explanatory account, like a causal account. It's saying something more, that it's establishing truth conditions for a moral action or moral event. Okay, and
I agree.
that requires the meaning of morality.
And that's
Okay.
not how I use the word grounding.
Okay,
That
so what
is
do you
not-
mean?
My grounding is in natural facts.
No, what do
Okay,
you mean
in
by grounding?
grounding in natural facts, grounding in biology? So when you ground something like our morality, you're going to ground it in the natural facts about what we are as organisms and how we came up out of the sludge, basically.
No,
That's
you're
where it
missing my
starts.
question. Look, I told you what I meant by grounding. I'll say it again. Grounding means us giving the truth conditions for. Okay, loosely speaking, there's a nonsense version of grounding that I'm not going to bring up. You can read that in the SCP. But the most charitable understanding of your usage of grounding and other people's usages of grounding is establishing the truth conditions. You're saying that's not what you meant by the word. So I'm asking very simply what you mean by the word ground or grounding. That's all I'm asking.
Grounding in scientific fact. Okay, grounding in the fact of what we are as
You're giving me an
organisms.
example. I'm asking for the meaning.
That is the meaning.
You're saying that grounding means grounding in scientific fact. That's not
Yeah.
informative speed.
How's that not informative?
Well, let me
Okay,
give you an example.
Grounding.
let me
Hold
just
on a
clarify.
second. Hold
Okay.
on a second. We have a theory, right? Okay, there's something we're trying to figure out about what's happening right now. Okay, something in our folk psychology or something in our language, something in the way we interact or whatever. Okay, I start with scientific fact about what we are as organisms. That's my ground. That's where I come from. Okay, so I will call that a ground. We can call it a foundation. We can call it a beginning. We can call it a theory. We can call it a theory. Now, when you go from that and you go to folk psychology, you end up with an intertheoretic account where you have to explain folk psychology in terms of my other theory.
When have I mentioned
which is
folk
more
psychology?
reductive.
I didn't even talk about beliefs yet. I've only said stuff about truth conditions with respect to morality. That's all I've said. I don't know why you're bringing in.
I have a wider definition of folk psychology as well.
Okay.
So you've got to get used to my idiosyncratic definition.
I don't mind.
in
Look,
order
if
to
you
understand
feel
me.
like you have a proprietary notion or definition, I need to know that because I'm going to operate on my background knowledge about what these terms mean, how people use them. So if you're using a proprietary notion of grounding, morality, rightness or wrongness, or folk psychology, that's going to be confusing not only to me but to all of your viewers.
Hopefully we can sort it out over time as you get used to the fact that I have a lot of idiosyncratic ideas about mind and body and physicality and naturalism. I always warn people I'm a strict naturalist. I take a God's eye view of the universe as if we could naturally render it. I'm also a scientist, or I subscribe to scientism. It's pretty unpopular these days, and I understand that. So once you understand those things about
I know people that are like that, but I know people that are like that and don't confuse the terms like you're doing.
I do have some idiosyncrasies, but like I say, we'll sort them out over time. But you got to ask questions.
Yeah, that's true.
Ask,
We can
mean by
proceed
grounding?
with that. So the first thing I wanted to ask is I gave the notion of grounding in terms of truth conditions. Okay. And that's a very loose notion. Grounding in a stronger metaphysical sense is not really. It's kind of dismissed. It has to do with like metaphysical possibility. But the point is
right.
That when I say or when you say X moral fact is grounded in scientific fact, I'm trying to explain here is that it implies this proposition that X fact about rightness or wrongness with respect to action is grounded in some natural scientific fact. I'm prepared to grant that. Okay. My criticism is that you can't divorce that proposition from the former proposition. Do you want me to repeat myself? Because it was a mouthful.
What the hell was the former proposition?
The former proposition was X moral fact is grounded in some scientific facts or set of facts. Okay. That's what you are claiming. And my whole criticism going back from a few days ago is this, that you can't make sense of that proposition without making sense of this proposition, which is X right or wrong action is grounded in some set of scientific or natural facts. That those two propositions, Speed, are tangled. Okay. And then when you said that you were not talking about rightness or wrongness, even though I might disagree with the fact that X moral fact is grounded in some natural fact, that is no longer the problem. Because at this point, I can't even make sense of the statement since it's saying something like the X fact, which does not relate to rightness or wrongness, is grounded in some natural fact. To me, that's contradictory.
Okay, the tangle is in your mind because I said that I start with my grounding of morality in this one theory. Okay, this is a naturalism theory of what we are as organisms. And then we move into the other the intertheoretic transfer. We go to another theory, right? Which is the places where you're going to find ethics and right and wrong and ought and should and all these words that we come up with, right? And I'm saying that there's a great deal of landscape between those two theories that becomes the intertheoretic.
You're missing my point. You're missing my point.
Okay.
I don't blame you. This is part of having a conversation. Let me just try it this way. Let's take your statement. But you said that animals or an animal should care for their young. You said that was a moral fact, right?
Did I say should? Did I use the word
should?
You
actually used the word should. This is why the point of the video was to criticize that. I don't know why you said that when you said that rightness or wrongness was a different conversation or discussion in the context of morality. That was the criticism of the video, and you failed to listen to it.
Okay, I said we should take care of our young. That it was a moral fact.
And you said, listen to the video. It's only your clip. The last 15 seconds. You said that, and I said that's contradictory on your view, and you dismissed it. You dismissed it.
Because you derived should from right and wrong.
Okay, now that comes
or
down
to you tangle them.
Well, the point is that it is even less controversial. Even the ethical naturalist, right? Everyone accepts that right if X is right, it should happen. No one thinks that that is controversial. Now, the second that you divorce should and should not from right and wrong, then you get into even bigger issues than the ones that I was presenting.
Okay, say that again.
Yeah, so I'm saying that let's put morality in the backstage for a second. I thought, right, you would accept that if X is right, then X should be done or X should happen in some kind of way, all things being equal. Okay? So, for instance, if I said it was the right thing to save the drowning child, that analytically establishes you should save the drowning child. If the former proposition is true, it follows that the latter proposition is true analytically, okay, by meaning. Okay, so that means that anytime anyone says you should do this, they are saying that whatever that they should do, whatever that is that you want them to do is right. Okay, I let me rephrase that. That was confusing. If someone says you should do X, that means X is right. That's my claim. And that is not controversial, even amongst the most rigid naturalists.
Okay.
Okay. So then when you said, go ahead. If you wanted to say, that's fine.
Okay. So when I use the word should, okay, when I went over to the other theory and used a word from that theory, should, I will say, I will charge that you forced that from me, that I was not ready to talk about it yet. And that was the point where I told you, no, that comes later. Right and wrong comes later. Because if you get into should, then we're going to get into right and wrong, right? Then
Do you agree to that? I want to know whether you agree to that or you don't know.
To what?
That if X is right, it should happen?
That if X is right, it should happen.
Just be honest. I mean, like, this is not a hard question.
I don't know what those words mean exactly yet.
Okay.
So we haven't hashed them out yet.
You've told
right?
when you
it's
meant
it's
something.
too
Wait,
early.
wait, no, this is not right. Because you do know what you've used the terms before in this room, right? You've said X, some animals should care for their young. I don't understand how you make sense of that word or that phrase without making sense of it's right for an animal to care for their young.
I don't. Yeah, I have a different derivation.
Okay. What do you mean by when you told me that an adult should care for their young? What did you mean there? If it wasn't,
what I meant is that if you care for your young, okay, if a raccoon mother cares for its young, that raccoon mother will be in a more peaceful or more relaxed emotional state, and that is where should comes from. So that person, that organism will be in a more relaxed state going forward by caring for its young.
So when you say that someone should do X, you just mean that they're going to be more, it's going to be more peaceful for them or relaxed for them.
Overall,
but no, I've heard you tell me that I should remain quiet.
Oh yeah, okay. Of course, I'm a human being who grew up in a culture, in a morality, in a language, and I'll use those words all the time. And what I was trying to do is go way the fuck back and unpack those words and start to say, what does it mean to say that I should? Now, in recovery, in recovery from drugs and alcohol, okay, one of the things that we figure out is that there are ways that we should act. And those ways that we should act lead to an overall orderly, peaceful direction in our lives, right? And that orderly, peaceful direction serves us well. And that's where should is derived from. But that is completely biological and psychological.
I can grant that. I can grant that.
It's perfectly compatible with what I was.
You're confounding the question.
About.
Look, I'm going to make it even easier. Do you think pedophilia is wrong?
Oh, fuck. Don't use that example on this fucking channel. Think of something else.
Okay. Do you think, take the most taboo thing, the most forbidding thing on YouTube, something like what I just uttered. Do you think that is, do you think that, what?
Doxing.
Do you think it's wrong?
Doxing. Do I think it's wrong? Yeah, I think it's wrong.
Do you think it shouldn't happen? That people should not dox?
I think they should not dox.
Okay. Do you think those have the same meaning? That it's wrong for them to dox, they should not dox? Be honest.
No. if it's okay, hang on a second. I have to think about it.
Just if you don't
Okay.
have this is not hard. Everyone agrees to this, Speed. I don't. You're the only one that
Yes,
would ever say.
I'm thinking about it. That's what I do,
It
right?
seems
Because
like
I'm
you're
not
dripping with
entirely sure.
motivation.
We're going from a should to right and wrong. Okay, right and wrong. Okay, let's think about it. We've got a set of actions. Okay, the set of all actions, and we're going to sort them into a right and wrong category. That's called a characteristic function. That's a binary function, right? Okay, so we have the set of all actions. Can you sort all actions cleanly into that right and wrong? All the possible actions that a human could do, can you sort them cleanly into that characteristic function?
You're changing the subject.
I'm not. I'm talking about right and wrong. You want to talk about should?
No, I'm
and
not
you want to
asking.
talk about right and wrong.
No, I'm not asking.
Now, should is prescriptive because we're going around and we're saying that there's something we should do about right and wrong.
What is it that I'm asking you? I'm not asking you about the meanings of right and wrong and should or should not. That's not
Can I
what
say
I'm
something?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, Top Dog.
It's beneficiary than it should. Is that
Look, beneficial is synonymous with good. And good, if it's right, it's good.
Oh, now we got good and bad.
And
Jesus
look,
Christ.
I understand.
beneficiary
Look,
doesn't
there
always
are
mean good
different.
for everybody
No
though?
one is going to disagree that there's different kinds of rightness or wrongness. Okay, when you get the wrong answer, that's a different kind of wrong, as if you did the wrong action. Okay, but what they share in common is that if you've noticed that you've said something wrong, you should revise. You should have not given the wrong answer. This is not controversial. I'm surprised I'm getting pushback. So let me be very clear about what I'm not asking. Right now, I am not asking how we ground or the meaning, a logical reduction that is, of rightness or wrongness or should or should not. What I'm saying is whether they're analytically equivalent, where they're conceptually tied together. And I'm telling you, everyone thinks they're conceptually tied, and I'm so surprised you're pushing back on this.
So you say if should X, then, okay, that's implication. Then X is right. If you should X, then X is right.
If I think you should be polite, I think being polite is right. All things being equal.
Okay, so that sounds like a pretty simple function. So how
So
did
benefits
you get
something.
there? How did you get there?
They're analytic. It's analytic. It's the same thing as saying bachelor is an unmarried man.
I got a cat on me.
They're different expressions of the same truth. Now, what that truth is complicated. That's the subject of metaethics. Okay, we don't have to talk about that right now. I'm essentially asking you, do you think bachelors are unmarried men? And you're saying, well, man, look, they just carry the same meaning.
So you're defining should as basically X being, okay, should X, you're defining that function. That is an action. Okay, if you say should X and we're prescribing that somebody should do something, right? Okay, so we're taking that and we're prescribing that. That implies that X is predicated by right. Basically,
I think you meant,
right.
yeah, right. There's something
If
right
we should
about
do
it.
it, then X is right.
All things being equal, I understand you can have competing desires, competing reasons, but we're not
Okay.
talking all things being equal.
That's some really nice math, but I ask you again, can you take out of the set of all possible actions, can you cleanly define them with a characteristic function? Can you divide them into right and wrong?
That you're changing the subject.
I'm
Whether
not
I say
changing
yes,
the subject. I'm back to the same subject about what is right and wrong. You're
cannot.
you're
What do you
rushing
mean by
ahead
wrong?
you're rushing ahead by where I started, okay? And you're trying to define right and wrong, so I'm trying to help you define right and
No,
wrong.
I'm not. Look, all I'm asking is under your view, do you think when you asked me the question, can you categorize things, all actions, in terms of right or wrong? Are you asking me, can you categorize all actions in terms of whether they should have been done or should have not been done?
Yes.
That's the question. Okay, then that means you agree with me that what should have been done and what should have not been done just is understood in terms of rightness or wrongness. So now you agree. Now be careful what you say here.
I'm not sure. Because
The should comes
should and
after.
right are different things. Should and right are different things.
No, let me repeat what I just said, so everyone is clear. When you asked me, Speed, can you categorize all these set of actions in terms of right or wrong, I asked him what he meant by that, and I said, do you mean can you categorize all actions in terms of right? Are you saying can you categorize all actions in terms of whether they should have been done or should have not been done? And he said yes. The only reason why he could say yes there is because he defined.
I didn't. Did I say that?
You
because
did.
I don't agree with that. You can't categorize all actions with a characteristic function. There's a gray area. There's a lot of in betweens, and there's a lot of things around it. So you can't do that. So
do you think there's a true dichotomy between right and wrong?
Do you agree that should and shouldn't are basically something where we are talking about how one should act? Okay.
Not always.
Okay.
But I gave you an example. If someone could put the wrong answer for a test, but that's not a moral event, right? It's like, think of it as all cats are mammals, but all mammals are cats. Mammals in this case is right and wrong. Cats in this case is morality. Right? And I think that let's just establish that this is analytic for sake of argument. A better example might have been the square and the rectangle example. But the point is that all cats are mammals, which is to say all moral truths are truths about right and wrong, but not all truths about right and wrong are truths about morality. Okay? And that is my claim. And a further claim that I would have is that analytically, if X should be done, X is right. If X should not be done, X is wrong. That's the same thing as saying bachelors are unmarried men, right? It's analytic.
According to you.
Well, that's the question that I have for you, right?
Nope. Not agreeing with it.
Okay. So then when you asked me, can you categorize all actions in terms of right or wrong? Are you asking me, can you categorize all actions in terms of whether they should happen or what they should do versus what they shouldn't do?
I'm asking you if you could categorize all actions according to right and wrong, or should and shouldn't. Should we, or okay, we've got a function. We've got a group of actions. What
You're
are we
missing
doing?
the question.
What are we doing? No, I'm not. You're rushing ahead into an area that, just like you did the other day, that I don't think is fleshed out enough. You came up with good and bad, right and wrong, should and shouldn't, morality. Then let's see, where else did you go? I mean, you went to a whole bunch of words. Okay, I'm not going to answer your fucking
I'm not
question.
interested. Okay, so this is what makes you a non-serious interlocutor.
No.
I asked the question, and now you're talking about meta. You're just talking about history now.
It makes you somebody who is trying to run me down a path that I am not ready to proceed down.
Then we should not have a conversation.
I don't think we've proceeded carefully enough.
Look,
we have not gone carefully
either,
enough.
We're
starting out. Back up too.
We can slow down.
Why animals should care for their young? Okay, so animals. Yeah, there's a benefit to the animal to care for its young. So it is more likely to care for its young than not care for its young. What is that more likely made of? How does that manifest in the animal?
I'm just saying, do you understand something like morality or beneficial in terms of right and wrong? And you're saying no, right?
Ask that question again.
The point of the discussion, right, was to ask you, excuse me, I didn't even say it.
Yeah, I know.
You disagree.
You said the point of the discussion. You are not the one that brought the point of the discussion to the table the other day. I did. And you're telling me what you think the point of the discussion ought to be.
You think I was alluding to what you were trying to say back then? I'm saying the point of this discussion, right?
I think you were missing the point.
But look, I didn't even say what the point of the discussion was, and you're disagreeing. This is, again, a good example of why you're not a good interlocutor. Okay, the point of this discussion is just simply to understand why you detach right and wrong from morality. To think. I'm wondering how you could think that morality is one discussion and right and wrong is a different discussion.
Okay, so that's the whole point that you're trying to get at, is why I would think.
Right. That's confusing. Okay.
Because morality is based in scientific biological fact, and right and wrong is based in a folk psychological concept that's related to language and culture. And you have
That
not
doesn't
totally,
address it
you
because
have,
you could
you,
just say it's-
you have not made the bridge between my naturalistic rendition and that particular
What are you? Look, you could just say right and wrong are
concept.
grounded in natural facts.
What?
You could have just said that right and wrong is also grounded in natural facts.
I don't think they're grounded that seriously. You can't go there yet.
Well, okay, look.
It's not that fucking simple. That's why
Subjective.
ethics is such a mess.
No.
That's
this
why
is
it's
actually,
it's a mess because of guys like you.
Yeah,
Because you don't want to land on something and carefully proceed and unwind everything from the ground up.
That's
Okay.
precisely what I'm doing, and that's what what everyone is critical of.
Yeah,
me
but you're
for.
not starting on the ground, Danny. You're starting up with right and wrong and should and shouldn't.
No. Okay, let me reframe.
And we
the
haven't even
conversation for you.
begun to create those yet.
No, you're just revision. This is revision, right? All I'm asking you, right, is how you come to divorce the conversations between morality and right and wrong. Okay, if you said that a moral fact can be in terms of what you should do, okay, then you have a problem on your hands, right? Because everyone agrees that if X is right, then it should be done because it's analytically the case.
So so all these primates agree with that little those squeaky noises you made. All the primates would go ooh ah. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that what people mean, both the average person, the layman, and the moral philosophers, understand that when you're talking about what should or shouldn't be done, you're talking about right and wrong.
So are you claiming that everybody believes this?
Pretty much. And
Well-
except the people that are now motivated to support you, probably.
Except me.
No, but I'm trying to
the
show you
person
the
who has
reduction.
said over and over again that you have not proceeded carefully enough from one theory to the other.
I'm saying that you've contradicted yourself when you said that a moral fact is that which you should do. And you even said, "Oh, I said that?" You even asked me, right? You were
So
surprised.
you elicited that. Okay. That's what you did. And that's why you're a dishonest interlocutor, because you are trying to jam your particular view into the discussion when I have told you over and over again that we're not ready for that. I told you it was another discussion.
No, okay, you just
Okay, and you're doing it again. You're going to go back.
Sorry,
and you're going to say it again. Okay.
Can we let bygones be bygones and move on?
No. But look, the point is that when you
Snake
said
wants to talk to you.
when you were talking about morality, and in the second day, the day after the heathen morality stream, that wasn't me interrogating you. You freely, without my interrogation, said that when animals should care for their young, that's a moral fact. I didn't get that out of you. You freely came to that decision. It's a lie.
I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
Okay, so why did you charge me with dishonesty and say that I elicited that from you?
I'm sure you did. Where did it come from? I have no idea what context I said it in. But I say things like that all the time. I say people should dox.
Yeah, you contradict yourself.
I
all
say
the time.
people shouldn't use stupid fucking yucky moral examples on my channel. I say people should do certain things because I'm a human being. But when I'm being analytical, as I was on the day that I was talking about morality, I am not ready to bridge that gap and define what a should and a would is or isn't, and how it relates to right and wrong.
Look, you're missing the point. If I said that if someone didn't know what marriage was, okay, or they wouldn't be able to grasp the concept of bachelor, okay? But to say that bachelor and unmarried man, to establish that analytic identity is not explaining what marriage is or a male or man is, right? So what I'm asking you is basically, do you understand bachelors in terms of unmarried men? And I can ask that question without getting into what marriage or man and woman reduce to, okay? So when I say, so that is to say, we don't have to talk about any sort of logical reduction, naturalistic reduction of right or wrong or should not, when I'm asking the question, do you understand right in terms of what you should do? And is Snake here? I can't see anything because of Hayes's comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, I just wanted to, like, I really enjoy morality discussions, but so I wanted to talk, like, how, if you don't know what should or ought means, like, why are you using the words?
That's
I
part
know
of
what
my
they
question.
mean putatively, and Danny's asking me to agree. Okay, he's asking me on one level to agree with the analyticity of the relationship between should and right and wrong, right? And of course, I
Yeah.
would agree with that because I am in this culture, and I am of this language, and that makes good sense, and I can agree to it, right? But it has nothing to do with the discussion that I started about morality.
No, okay, wait.
Well, I really
Go ahead.
struggled. I really struggled with what it actually means when you use the word, because it's like you just kind of use it automatically.
Well,
So for a
I mean
while-
what you mean.
What
We're
do I
of
mean
the
by
same
it?
culture.
Well, it was hard for me to pin down what exactly it means, and eventually I came to the conclusion that when you're saying should or ought, it means that if you're saying X, you should do X. What it means is it's a claim that X is right or correct or good, and I think that's the only possible usage of the words.
I think I have an idiosyncratic idea about how should works. Okay. And that's why I sort of bulk, when we're getting down into it, when I think about what I should do, okay, I should behave according to my nature. That's what I would say. That allows me to feel the lowest level of excitement or the greatest level of peace, right? That if I follow my nature, my biological nature, and I do this in all things, you could use the term "follow your heart," okay, because that makes a little bit of sense in that context.
Look, no one wants to dispute that.
But nowhere in there yet is the idea of what's right and what's wrong.
No one wants to dispute that, because when you tell me that what I should do relates to my peace and my relaxation and my that whatever you said there, they're just going to say that they're just going to, what they're going to hear is that if you were to say that X is right, that it would bring about those things as well. There's not a problem there for right now. Okay. The problem is this, that when you say X should happen and say that relates to a peaceful state of mind, that you're saying that when X is right, it doesn't relate to a peaceful state of mind. That's what you're committed to if you divorce what should happen from right.
And you're saying you should be in a peaceful state of mind.
Right. So
but when it comes to right and wrong, consider the Christian that's trying to decide whether it's right for two boys to sleep together.
Look, you're changing the subject. They're going to think.
No, I'm not. No,
look, let me explain. Let me give the argument. I just gave a claim. Let me give the argument.
You that right and wrong is above this.
No, look. If a Christian thinks that it's wrong for for a homosexual couple to have relations, okay, they're saying that shouldn't happen. Now, whether they're right about those propositions and how that logically reduces, for instance, like that might violate God's commands, totally different question. I'm just asking actually a much more fundamental, simple question, right? When a Christian says that it's wrong for a man to marry a man, are they saying that a man marrying a man should not happen? And yes, they are, right? It's like saying that Danny is a bachelor. Well, that means the same thing as Danny is an unmarried man.
Okay, I would agree with that linguistic construct. That's fine.
Okay, now it gets to now there is a contradiction on your view if you accept that, because in the stream you said that it is a moral fact for there to be for an adult to an adult should care for their young. It's a moral fact. You said that, okay? Yep. And if you agreed to your previous that previous claim that right and wrong is and it's analytically equivalent to should or should not, then that means that it is a moral fact that caring for the young is right. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
But you've left the realm that I was in, and you've gone to the other theory You've gone to the rationalization part where you're talking about right and wrong. And then if you took a Christian and you took somebody like me, you would end up with a different version of right and wrong. You'd end up with a different function. And that's because of the rationalization. It has nothing to do with it.
Wait,
Whereas if you took
I don't know
both a
why.
Christian,
Why are you bringing
if
in
you took-
rationalization? I don't
because
understand.
that is what you're doing. You're bringing rationality.
What do you mean by
to logic.
rationalization in this context? I don't know what you mean.
Rationalization would be where you're thinking in terms of concepts, you're constructing, you're taking things in reality, you are trying to represent them in your brain, and
Isn't
you're
that what you're
operating on
doing?
them. Of course, everybody has to do that in order to figure shit out.
Okay,
but
so what's the you're charging me with this rationalization, right? And I don't really understand.
rationalizing, you're taking my science facts and trying to turn them into something that's in another theory, in another area.
Let me
a totally
grant you
different
that
area.
it's true. I can grant naturalism.
Let's,
I can.
why don't we let Snake talk for a while and talk to you?
Well, look, I'm not
he has some
letting you
questions for me.
escape because this is what. Look, yeah,
You're
I'll
going to let
grant-
me escape because this is my fucking channel, Danny.
Okay, well, this shows that you're just not interested in being corrected.
I'm interested in what Snake has to say because I think he has a perspective.
He
that may
agreed
help
with
us.
me just
May
now.
help us. Well,
Maybe that's why he persuaded you.
That's why I brought him in. I was sure he was going to agree with you. So,
Well, so I think that Christians and naturalists would come to a different set of morality, but that just means that they're. I mean,
How does that
one of
work?
them or both can be wrong. It's just a claim of truth. A claim of truth doesn't mean that it's true, and so you have to look at which claim has truth value in it. But they're both essentially saying the same thing: is that they're claiming that something that X moral value is true.
Yeah.
How do we arrive at truth value when it comes to sleeping with
that's
boys?
a change of subject. What? Let me. I want to rephrase what Snake
But
said.
when you
right?
change the subject, it's
Excuse
fine.
me.
But when I change
Look,
the
look,
subject,
I can tell you're seeping with motivation to undermine me. I just let it go for a second, okay? Let me rephrase what Snake said. He's just saying this, okay? That when a Christian says homosexuality is wrong or it shouldn't be done, okay, that can be true or false, right? But that means the same. The should not or should means the same thing as right or wrong, whether you're a Christian or not, despite having different moralities. Okay, people can be wrong in their moralities, and maybe in a sense, right? They could not know the good. That's to say, okay, but they mean what we mean by good, if in terms of right and wrong or ought not do, right, is going to be unified throughout every moral theory.
how do you arrive at truth value for right and wrong between the Christian and the atheist concerning sleeping with boys?
Look, you're changing the subject.
No, it is not changing the subject. I'm trying to show you where you're going.
You're asking.
And Snake was the one that brought up truth
Okay,
value.
well, let me explain why we're.
Why don't
it's a
we
good
let
question.
Snake? Why don't we let Snake talk a little bit?
Yeah, that's a fair question, is how do you arrive at truth value for things like that? I think the easiest way is obviously to rule out things like by finding contradictions. So saying that you should not have homosexual relations, I think, contains a lot of contradictions. But in order to get to the truth value of a lot of these things, you have to essentially define what good is just ontologically. And I have my own theories about that, but it goes back down to the fundamental grounding of the entire system. I mean, that's the essence of that question.
Right.
Look, when the reason why I've charged you with changing the subject is that in terms of how we come to these truth values is an epistemological question about morality. But what you're asking is the nature of morality. You're conflating ontological questions with epistemic questions.
I think they all source to the very same thing I was talking about.
I can grant that.
Okay, so I am trying to trace from the source up to these cloudy concepts: truth, right, wrong, should, shouldn't, good, bad, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that is
how do we render those, and how do we render those when we have people with vastly different values concerning subjects that are not as easy to put into that characteristic function?
Look,
not
that's
as easy to put into a binary.
Question. It's not an epistemic. Look, there's a big difference between these two statements or these two questions. How do we come to know those truth conditions versus what are the truth conditions. The very different questions. So how the Christian came to know that, I mean, I guess in this case, Christianity is true because I'm using know. How did the Christian come to know a moral proposition is different than what are the truth conditions for that moral proposition.
Now we're going to epistemology.
I'm saying that when you asked me, when you asked the question that Snake said was a fair question, you asked an epistemic question, which is why it's a change of subject.
Okay, Snake. So what I started out with the other day is I was grounding everything in basically the limbic system, the sense of smell. We have this well-defined sense of disgust that's based around our sense of smell. And that's basically how our brains work with morality. We have these biological functions, that decide. And now if we look at humans, in sort of a raw form, without any language, without any ethics, they don't say should, they don't say shouldn't, they don't say right, they don't say wrong. They only make gestures, basically, or do things. That's where I was starting. And from there, what I would like to do is walk all the way up to how we come up with a should, a shouldn't, truth value, why humans would differ on various actions, that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's a very large discussion, but it starts in a different place. And Danny wanted me to rush ahead and start talking about should and right and wrong.
False. Look,
and I didn't.
No. Look, have you seen the video that I made of Speed? That will be really revealing. But here's what it is in cap, right?
It's not as revealing as you think, Danny.
Well,
just
you're
revealing.
not capable of understanding the video since you're so motivated. Anyway, it's not even that you're stupid. It's just you're so seeping with motivation, right? Anyways, Speed, let me explain to you, Snake, what happened, right? If you
now I get why John left.
Excuse me. When it comes to that video, here's the summation of it. Okay. He wanted to give an account of morality. He wanted to ground morality, okay? And then I said something about rightness or wrongness, okay? I said that if it's moral, it's right. If it's immoral, it's wrong. But then what Speed did was charge me with changing the discussion because I made that claim. And I'm saying that if you've come to ground morality, you've come to ground rightness and wrongness with respect to action. Okay, that means that you cannot ground morality without grounding rightness or wrongness with respect to action, right? Those go hand in hand. And he charged me with changing the subject. That's not fair.
So I think I know what's going on. So, I think that the discussion about the biological origins of morality is just a discussion on why we have moral intuitions and emotions about morality. Yep. But I don't think that's very relevant to the rightness and wrongness of that intuition, because we can have all kinds of crazy intuitions.
I agree with you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this, that if you've established a biological origin of morality, you've also established the biological origin of right and wrong action. That's what my claim is.
Not necessarily, because it is a more complicated interface than that.
Well, Snake, you understand why you're committed to that, right?
There's a difference between the intuition and the actual truth value of that intuition or a conclusion.
Right. I agree with you. When I listen to my claim again, that if you've understood what explains, biologically speaking or naturalistically speaking, sure, a moral action, what you've done is understood that same kind of grounding for a right action. Okay, whether it's true or false is a different question. I agree with you. Okay, but the point is that to understand a moral or immoral event is to understand an event with respect to right and wrong action.
If you're claiming that's the basis for morality, but I'm saying it only describes the basis of moral intuitions.
Naturalistic fallacy seems to come to mind.
No, you don't know what that is. Okay.
Thank you. Do you want to get removed?
Look, naturalistic fallacy. Yeah, the naturalistic fallacy is only established if you're an ethical naturalist.
Now, Speed. Don't remove Danny.
Right.
Train his tongue.
Look, the point is, I'm just correcting you that the naturalistic fallacy is equating an ought to an is. You're charging me with that?
Yeah.
Wait, what did I say?
Okay.
I
The
didn't
way
make any moral.
the way that you just spelled it out was exactly that. You were saying that basically. Oh God! If we could only back up and play it again.
I'll repeat
You
it
said
word
that
for word.
if we find this biological origin or the biological origins of how we should behave, and I'm getting very fucking tired, then we know what we should and shouldn't do, and that means, and then we know what is right and wrong. No, it's not that
No, I
simple.
didn't say that.
It's not
You
that
don't-
simple.
No, I did not say that. You're
You said
strawmanning
something
me.
pretty. Maybe you
I'll
were
repeat it word
paraphrasing.
for word, and I'll
Maybe
make
you
a
were
video of it.
paraphrasing what I was saying. That could be, but you did say something along that line, and I reject that because the
No,
function
because
is
you're
not that
rejecting a
simple. Just fucking let me finish what I'm saying. I'm very tired, Danny. I don't have a lot of patience left.
Look,
No.
okay, I'll calm down. But why would you want to attack a straw man? When I tell you,
I'm not saying that you are committed to that. I'm saying that's what you said.
I did not
and
say
that's
that.
why I would not quickly agree with what you said.
Wait, I didn't say that.
From this morality, from this origin, okay, from this biological origin, you cannot then derive all shoulds, oughts, rights,
I'm
wrongs,
not
whatever.
saying anything like that.
It
Why
seemed
are you,
like you were saying that I was
Let me
saying that,
correct
and I
you
wasn't.
about what I said. Why are you being so resistant towards that?
Toward
Tell
what?
me. Tell
What
me why.
the hell were you complaining? Back up, and what were you saying? I thought you were
here's what I was saying.
paraphrasing what I
Here's
was
what I was saying. That if you understand the origin of a moral statement or truth, that you also understand the origin of something that's right or wrong action. That's my claim. Okay, that's very markedly different from what you just said. So let me repeat it because I stuttered at the end. Okay, that if you understand the origin of a moral truth, you understand the origin of an action that's right or wrong. Okay,
But I don't think Speed is saying that it's the origin of the truth. It's just the origin of our perception of the truth.
I didn't say truth in there, right? I mean, I could take out truth, and my claim still stands, right? It could be falsehood. Okay. The point is that I'll rephrase it to proposition or statement. If you understand the origin of a moral statement or a moral event or whatever, right? Whether it's true or false, I don't care, right? Then you've also understood the origin of a moral of a statement with respect to right or wrong action.
You know a little about it, yes.
Okay, so
the
then,
origin of the statement, but not necessarily its truth value, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not talking about truth value. I don't know why we're obsessed with truth value right now. Okay,
Because somebody brought it up.
I think I think that if I did include truth value, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm taking that out because it's distracting for some reason. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that if you've come to know something about morality, then you've come to know that very something of a right or wrong action.
Yeah, which is what I was trying to establish, basically.
Okay, but then you said I was changing the subject when I wanted to talk about right or wrong.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to define right, wrong, should.
Then you're not ready to define morality. That's like saying
We
I
need
can
to have an
understand.
example first.
That's like saying I can,
Okay, Danny, could it be that I wasn't done yet? That I hadn't gotten there
just
yet?
replying
Which
to
is
what you just
what I
said.
told you over and over and over again when you came into the discussion and you started bringing in meta ethics and right and wrong and all that. I said, whoa, wait a minute. Hold your horses. We're not ready yet. We're not ready to go
that's
there
like
yet.
no. Let me just characterize the problem with what you just said. Right?
Okay, I'm just about done for the day.
We need to establish the example first.
Yeah, we're going to establish an example.
I can establish an example here.
Caring
right?
for your young.
Okay, no. The point is that it's like saying let's talk about squares. We don't need to understand
Raccoons don't understand squares.
No, you're not. Look, you are tired, right? Listen to what I'm saying. That to talk about a square means to understand a shape with sides, and you're saying that. Oh, we don't need to understand shapes and sides to talk about squares. You must have an understanding of shapes and sides to talk about squares. And I'm saying that if you want to get at the question of what's moral and immoral, you must have a notion or concept of right and wrong.
Danny needs some tell him this. God damn, Iron.
So, caring for your young is the example.
Okay, so if I'm saying that caring for the young is moral. Okay, it's a moral. There's a moral dimension to caring for the young.
Yep.
In order to make that claim, you must already have an understanding of right and wrong. I'm sorry, but it comes into the fold of the discussion immediately, in the same way that if you're talking about squares, talking about sides and shapes must necessarily be mentioned.
Okay,
Yeah, but speed.
Okay, hang on a second. I disagree with that last part. So let's just put a peg in it and take it up at another time. What were you going to say,
I'll
Sinead?
respect that.
I was just saying, I think speed is not saying that we understand the rightness or wrongness or necessarily that it's moral. It's just that that's why we think it's moral to take care of our young, is because of biological reasons.
Yeah, my claim, Snake, is that if you think that something is moral, you must also think that it's right or wrong.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying, but he's pushing back on that for some reason.
I think you're talking past one another in
certainly
because
I'm trying to clear it up, but he's I don't know why he's so resistant to me. I think
correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's making a claim that it's absolutely good that we do that. It's just that he's exploring the origins of why we think that it's good.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm fine with giving someone the last
not
word.
100%.
I'm fine with giving
black
someone
and white.
the last word. Okay, who wants the last word on this, and we'll change subject.
Okay, so basically I'm pushing back on what I call the folk psychological concepts about ethics, words like right, wrong, should, shouldn't, and all of that those things are derived. And one of the reasons why this becomes a very difficult discussion is because we haven't carefully grounded them in that particular biological origin. So if you go from that biological origin and now we've gone to language, okay, we're obviously talking about a tribe of people who are considering actions in the future, and it's a much wider discussion. And when you keep going there and insisting that I agree with tenets from that particular mindset, I push back because I keep telling you, no, we're not there yet. And that is my last word on the subject, I hope.
All right, let's move on.
I hope you
I'm not gonna
understand, Danny. I think we're coming at this from two entirely different worldviews. And I think I do, in this discussion, I realize that I have a fairly different idea of what should is, and it has to do with my addiction recovery.
All right, look, I figured this out. I've been listening the whole time, and something Danny just said made me figure the whole fucking thing out.
Wait, before we do
Yay.
it, I'm so,
What?
wait,
Wait a
do we
minute.
want to change this?
No.
Okay,
No,
wait a
you're not
minute.
gonna interrupt me.
One at a
As much
time.
as you get your butt being interrupted, you're not going to interrupt me.
Who's first? Okay. How are we going to decide who's first?
Wait, just really quick. Are we changing the subject or not? That's all I wanted to ask. You wanted to change the subject.
We're going to let John have the
I'm
last
not
word.
going to change the subject. I'm not changing the subject. I'm going to speak
Well, then
directly
you can have
to
the last
something
word
you said
after,
90
Danny.
seconds ago. I'm going to speak directly to something you said 90 seconds ago, Danny. I'm not changing the subject.
Okay, go.
Where Danny does not understand you, Speed, is he just said about 90 seconds ago, it might have been 2 minutes ago, he said, if you're going to talk about what is moral or immoral, you need to talk about what is right and wrong. And where Danny is missing the boat is the other day when you started that conversation, you were not talking about what was moral or immoral. You wanted to talk about where the biological origins of our sense of morality came from. Okay,
Right.
That's the fucking problem right there. And
Okay.
and you've taken it down this rabbit hole for 4 fucking days now, dude. And you just right now you just buried yourself with what you said, because that was not the subject that Speed was having. That's not the conversation Speed was having.
So I would like to respond, right? Okay, I've granted it. So you wanted to talk about the origins of such things. The problem is that the criticisms that I had required you to have a notion of right and wrong, because I don't think there can be laws.
No, we weren't having that conversation.
Excuse
That's
me.
not the conversation.
Excuse me, sir.
Sorry.
Excuse me, sir.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Sir, I need you to let me speak.
Sorry.
Okay, John. Knock it
Okay.
off.
Look, I'm saying that I could grant that. Although I don't remember that history. I'll grant the history. The point is that then the objections remain the same.
No, they
Whether
don't.
Excuse me.
No, they
excuse me,
don't.
Excuse
No, they
me.
don't.
Excuse
No,
me.
you don't, because you're
Excuse
making
me.
post.
Excuse
you're
me.
making, you're
Excuse me.
making, you're
Let
making,
John
Excuse me.
respond to that part
Excuse
of it.
me.
you're making post hoc.
Excuse me.
You're making
Excuse-
post hoc rationalizations.
Excuse me.
You're
Okay, John, finish.
look,
You
here's
had a
the-
comment about what he was saying.
Right. Because what he's doing now, he's doubling down. Okay. He had the
Yeah, I
top,
know.
he had the subject of the conversation wrong. Okay. And now when I'm pointing that out, he's trying to say, well, my critique will stand because that topic is the same as this. I mean, I don't even know what his rationalization.
Okay, I
because
got
you
a
didn't let me
plan,
talk.
John.
You didn't let me
Hold
talk,
on,
John
hold
Peterson.
No, we're done listening to that. We know your point. You're
No,
right.
no, John doesn't know my point.
No,
He's
I
here's
know
the
your
thing.
he didn't
point.
know my
You're
point.
right.
Danny,
Danny, okay,
Danny,
I
it
got a
still-
plan,
it still
John.
stands. You just said a few moments ago, if you're going to talk about what is moral and immoral, and that was not the conversation we were having the other day. Speed wanted to talk about where our sense of morality came from biologically.
Yeah. Just let Danny be right.
Right.
Okay.
And
Okay,
he
so
didn't- and
now
he
let me
didn't-
respond to that.
wait a minute.
Excuse me.
I wasn't done, God damn it. Look, here's the thing.
Can we let Danny be right?
Right. Well, he is right. No matter how this ends, he's right.
Yeah, okay.
But okay, so, and you even said in that conversation when he brought up his critiques, I'm not ready to have that part of the conversation yet. You never denied that morality as it stands now has nothing to do with right and wrong, good and bad. You never
Okay, let me
claimed that. You granted that.
Jesus Christ. Danny, quit over talking when you come in.
I'm done.
Okay, now Danny.
No, he's not done. He's going to interrupt. Watch this, okay? So now John said that I did say that if you want to know what morality is, you have to talk about what right and wrong is. But I also said, John, unclog your ears, that if you're talking about the origin of morality, you're talking about the origin about right and wrong. And I also said that if you're saying something about morality, whether that be the origin, the cause, the normative explanation, the narrative explanation, right? The
Okay,
biological,
all
no,
right,
excuse me,
okay.
excuse
Yeah,
me,
no.
excuse me. Okay. What I was trying to say before, John, you see, I predicted it. He interrupted me. When
Well, no,
I
because-
said, excuse me. So when I
Look,
said
look,
that,
the reason-
excuse me,
John,
excuse
don't
me,
interrupt.
excuse
Wait,
me,
I won't. but
excuse me,
Hold on a
You're
second.
interrupting, John.
go ahead and interrupt.
He's gish galloping. He's
Yeah,
gish.
we're gonna let him gish gallop. Let him gish gallop until he gets
Go ahead,
tired.
John. If you insist, let's
Let
just
the horsey go.
Okay, because again, you're still missing the point. You're still saying when you have
Oh
a
my God.
discussion of morality, you have to talk about good and bad. And the fact of the matter is, you don't have to talk good and bad if you're talking about the biological origins of where we get our sense of a morality from, the impetus to why humans even think about morality. Okay, it hadn't been sussed out then. It was biological instincts, like Speed was trying to point out the other day. So no, there is no concept of good or bad back at the beginning when our sense of morality was formed, because it was all from instinct and from evolutionary reasons.
Okay,
Okay,
so now
okay,
Danny,
to
do you,
respond.
hold
I
on, Danny.
want to respond.
Danny, do you disagree?
silence me all the
No,
time.
hang on a second. Do you disagree with that?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
good. Okay, good. You disagree. Leave it at that. You disagree.
No,
We
I'm not going
No,
to.
we
I will not let him
understand
have the
why
last
you
word.
disagree. We
Could
don't
we
need
do-
to go any further.
I
It
no,
is
I will not
fucking
be
10-2.
slandered.
Danny,
Could I give a quick example?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
Wait
it's
a
like-
minute. No, hang on a second. We're 10 minutes to ending this stream, okay? Danny disagrees with John. I don't really give a fuck, and he disagrees with me. But let's not get back into the weeds where Danny has to explain himself for the 500th fucking time, because I'm tired of hearing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So just knock it off, Danny. We understand you.
No, you do not understand me, and I will.
Fucking A. Jesus Christ. Okay, Snake. What's up?
So Danny's saying origin of morality. You're saying origin of sense of morality. So there's, I don't know why we can't communicate that, but
I know.
for a quick example, if we're talking about, okay, stop me if this is too spicy, but if we're saying, okay, well, what are the reasons why Hitler hates Jews are different than whether or not his opinion on that is correct or not.
Okay, I would go even further. And what I was talking about is where that feeling of hating anything comes from. So I was a little more meta than that.
Well, right, and let me clarify too, because this is what I understood it as, and tell me if I'm wrong, Speed, is that what you're saying, because you brought up the example of caring for your young. So 200,000 years ago, the earliest humans would have offspring, and they would have this moral sense, they didn't know to call it that they were to care for that child, that they, loved that child, that they shouldn't do harm to that child. But at no time did those human beings that far back think about, well, this is good, or this is bad,
or ever utter the word right or wrong,
right, or this is right, this is good. It was all an innate sense. So to say that talking about the origins of morality that far back, it has nothing to do with right or wrong or good or bad, because they had no concept of that. But if you're going to talk about morality, say from 5,000 years ago till present, then Danny's absolutely right. You can't have a discussion on morality
without the language
about right and wrong, good and bad.
Look, if you want a serious response, the point is that it's
Danny,
still excuse me.
Danny, could you hold for a second?
Excuse me.
Oh, excuse me, Danny. I just want to give you just a point of moderation. When I bring you back into the room, wait for 10 seconds before you start fucking talking to see if anybody else maybe wants to finish up. And then I won't have to keep removing you. You're really a bad boy. And you have to stop doing that. I'm tired of removing you from the stream.
Are you saying I shouldn't do it? Is it the wrong thing to do?
You didn't wait for 10 seconds. Now, give it 5 seconds, okay? Count 1,000, 1, 2,000, 3,000. 3 seconds, Danny. Try it.
No.
See what I mean?
Can I ask you a question? That last explanation I gave about, earliest humans, they had no.
That's perfect.
Yeah. That there's no disputing that, but Danny wants to come in the room and dispute an empirical fact that I just shared.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck Danny wants to talk about. Anyway, Snake, do you understand that I was trying to go to a more a more basic meta discussion and build from there. And I felt that I was being rushed into a discussion about language and culture. And that was just a little too far. Using examples that are from biologically understandable rather than going as far as even Hitler felt about the Jews, that sort of thing. I suppose we're going to get a Q&A on this.
I just wanted to say that, John, that was a beautiful explanation. Well done. I understood it, and I think everyone.
It was garbage. Let me explain why it was garbage.
Danny, fuck off.
Right and wrong are built into notions of agency, so you can't give.
But we understand
that kind of
all
account.
that, Danny. God damn, Danny. We understand you, Danny.
First.
Well, I
An example first.
I understand the impulse of it's a much more interesting, at least for me, discussion of what the actual ontology of and epistemology of what good and bad are, and that it's like I think it's fairly simple to say, okay, these are the biological origins of our sense of morality, and then I would want to move on from that pretty quickly.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
I understand why. I understand that, like Danny, I don't know why you don't get the point that they're just still on the sense of morality.
That's
they don't
still
want
a
to go
problem.
further.
All of my arguments go through still. It doesn't matter, right? Whether you're saying origin of morality or origin of sense of morality, there's still a problem. Okay? And they're not interested. They want an echo chamber with John Peterson of Above All People. Okay? And so who doesn't know what he's talking about? Now,
John got it pretty accurately, and I think we're going to end the stream now because Danny isn't going to add anything to this other than he just wants to make his point. I don't know what I'm not even sure what his point is. That he's right and we're wrong. Fine, Danny.
Yeah, Leo Filius.
We'll make a video.
Leo Filius is saying that you and I are praising Gavin now.
Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry, Leo. Anyway, I'm just kind of tired, guys, and I kind of want to end the stream. And if Snake, if you and Danny want to take it up. And even John or anybody wants to stay in the back room and talk about it, I'm bowing out. I'm tired. I've had a very, very long day. Started about 3 a.m. So
I would offer my.
I would.
Oh, sorry.
I would like to continue this.
Okay.
Well,
do you guys want to continue live? I can leave it live and just bow out.
Well, so Speed, somebody in chat wanted to know if you were having Snata tonight.
Haven't decided yet. If I get some good sleep, yes. So who asked?
I can't remember. It was a while back.
Okay. We're hoping to. Anyway, we're hoping to. And we're hoping it'll be a little more fun than some of this shit. So,
I mean, you don't have to leave it live because, we have no control over it. Just
okay, because it'll turn into a shit show. Okay, so I'm going to end the broadcast, and you guys can go in the back room, and we'll see what happens. So, ending broadcast. I apologize.
Bye.
I apologize if that was boring for anybody. There are 24 people watching, so I don't know. Maybe it was exciting, but I thought what you came up with, John, was very apt and kind of right on. And I think it sort of brought it back to the grounded beginning where I wanted it.
Yeah, and Danny's triggered by it.
Yeah. Okay. Ending broadcast. Goodbye, crew.